This is about defending democracy. This is no longer Democrats versus Republicans. What do you want your kids to believe in? There must be give and take.
This is White Flag with Joe Walsh.
Congressman Joe Walsh, I hope you are having a good weekend, Super Bowl weekend. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter. It'll always be Twitter, @WalshFreedom. This is White Flag with Joe Walsh, and you know the drill here. I, every week, try to sit down with somebody who doesn't think like me, either when it comes to like a broad worldview or on a specific issue. I find it to be kind of boring to speak every day to people who think like me. Today's conversation is going to be fun and interesting because I'm speaking with a guy who shares my broad world view. Tom Owens and I agree on damn near everything. We are both principled, I would call us NeverTrumper conservatives, limited government activists, whatever you want to call it. For the sake of this conversation, Tom Owens and Joe Walsh are both principled NeverTrumpers. We disagree on something very specific, which I think is really interesting, especially for people who are in kind of our world, Tom's world and my world, the world of the NeverTrumpers. Tom Owens and I, by the way, Tom, hello. Good to see you, my friend.
Hi, Joe.
Good to be with you, buddy boy, my brother. Tom Owens, by the way, is a wonderfully interesting follow on Twitter. Do follow Tom at Thomas Publius, ThomasPublius. Follow Tom on Twitter. Thomas, welcome. I want to start our conversation like this because I'm like you. I love to talk guns. I love to talk immigration. I love to talk tax policy. This is a political issue that I love to talk about because it fascinates me. You and I are both NeverTrumpers. You and I both believe Donald Trump is unfit to be president. Kudos to you. You were a more principled NeverTrumper from the very beginning than yours truly. You and I will never and could never pull the lever and vote for Trump. We go our separate ways, and I'm a bit more high profile than you are, Thomas. Because I can never vote for Trump and I think he's unfit, I then take, to me, what's the next logical step? Well, I got to vote for that guy then, Joe Biden, because he's the only guy on the ballot this year who can keep that unfit bastard out of the White House. You disagree with me, and I really respect your stance, and I want to hear it. You still can't pull the trigger for Biden, and you won't pull the trigger for Biden, and I respect that, even though we both believe Trump's unfit. Welcome. I want you to start the conversation. You and I get to it's like you and I get to the altar, but we cannot say I do together. Why? Start the conversation, Thomas. What's the difference there? How do you think that through?
Full agreement that Donald Trump is unfit, was unfit, always has been unfit, and in my view, continues to prove that every day. So I can't even fathom why he would ever be beyond 1 or 2% in the polls. So,
and by the way, for everyone listening to us, again, you felt that way pretty much from the beginning of when he first came on the scene.
Politically, before the escalator ride. I mean, he's been a public figure for a long time. I know people that had private dealings with him going back decades. So, I mean, he was just a peripheral, weird ass figure. And then when he did the presidential run, I'm like, this is something that should get like 2% of the Jerry Springer crowd that could ever take this seriously.
Yeah.
And I mean, this has been going on for, almost a decade now. Every day I wake up and I can't believe it. And after January 6th that he would have,
and you say that, Thomas, you say all of that as in the political world today, you'd be known of as a very conservative individual. And even as a very conservative individual, you look at this thing and you say, how can conservatives support this thing?
I have no idea. He's, besides destroying the GOP, he's destroyed the conservative movement, or the conservative movement was ready for destruction and needed some figure to do it.
Yeah.
I know so many smart, intelligent people that have just nailed it in life that I don't think they're doing their civic duty by having anything to do with the MAGA movement. But man, that's me.
So again, clear, he's unfit to be president. So if, and I think the likelihood is 90%, it's going to be Trump and Biden on the ballot. Why can't you join your little brother, Joe Walsh, and pull the trigger for Joe Biden to help keep Trump out of the White House?
He's been a public figure for 50 years. He's Biden. He's always his policy positions. He's anti-2A. He's never been pro-life, although he's Catholic, and I wouldn't get deep into the weeds on that. But he continues to want to take away our Second Amendment rights. He's now signed on with the GND and the bizarre economics that encounters, and everything that comes with it, from taking your gas stoves, melting them down, and putting them into windmills out in the country. And so there's
back up. GND meaning Green New Deal.
Green New Deal.
Okay, continue.
The
student loans.
My wife and I started saving when our kids were a week old. We were blessed enough to send them through college free of encumbrances.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden, people that don't want to pay their bill for whatever the hell their degree was in, that gets exonerated with our tax money. I mean, that is just offensive on so many levels. Joe Biden, again, I'm probably the most dovish conservative, and I know you are too, on immigration itself. But I've moved to the right on that because the situation has changed. 30, 40 years ago, I started voting. It was some dude that would come over to do a job nobody here wanted to do. And they sent the money back to Mexico. And basically, they kept their nose clean because they don't want to get in trouble. It was a good gig. That's all changed. So I do think the border, needs to be tightened up. Absolutely. And, he's weak on that.
So is it fair to say, Tom Owens, that Tom Owens couldn't vote for Joe Biden principally because you believe he's so bad and wrong on policy? It comes down to policy.
It comes down to policy, but there's, the obvious thing in the room. He's not the player he was 20, 30 years ago, and that actually might be a good thing, but he's not fit for office. I'm sorry, he's just too darn old. He can't do the job. And so who's doing the job and who's in the wings? Kamala Harris. I mean, like I said, I'm no Democrat or anything, but even the Democrats are terrified of her. There's the far left woke that I think would be happy with her because they want to see as much destruction to the country as the MAGA movement. But it's terrifying. I don't get any, to go back to it, I don't get any policy choices out of Biden. I get policy choices from him that I've been against my whole life. And so, again, Joe, I have the luxury of voting and living in the electoral college wasteland known as Illinois. Illinois. There was a glitch. I voted third party in the last 3 elections. I even voted third party back in 12 because my vote didn't matter.
Yeah. Thomas, and you can still hear me, correct?
Yes. Now,
answer me something. For the sake of this conversation, I want to take you out of the blue state of Illinois, because your vote doesn't matter in Illinois. Joe Biden's going to carry Illinois. The Democrats are going to carry Illinois electorally. You've got a farm up in Wisconsin. So for the sake of this conversation moving forward, I want you to assume that you are a registered voter in the state of Wisconsin, a swing state. You with me there?
Right with you.
Okay, now let's get back to this interesting point you raised. You acknowledge with me that Trump is unfit. You think Joe Biden is unfit to be president as well. Is that accurate?
Correct.
And that's primarily why. I'm assuming for a different reason than Trump's unfitness.
Yeah, the Trump administration had policy victories that I like, both administratively and congressionally. But
What
they're
makes
both
Biden unfit? What makes Biden unfit? I mean, you and I, Tom, you and I know why Trump's unfit. He tried to overthrow an American election. He's an insurrectionist. He wants to end our democracy. He wants to be an authoritarian. He's incapable of empathy. He believes he's above the law. All of that. I mean, I can go on and on and on.
He's a sociopath. He's
a
sociopath,
psychopath.
and he's
Completely.
incompetent. The guy didn't know what the nuclear triad was. They explained it to him.
Yeah,
and
agreed.
He couldn't repeat it the next day.
Yeah, that's easy. Agreed. He's a moron. He's ignorant. He's a pathological liar. We know, you and I know, two NeverTrumpers, why Trump is unfit. It's clear. What in your mind makes Biden unfit?
I don't like his policies. We discussed that. But quite honestly, I'm not going to sit here and say he's senile. But you can see from watching him, I don't know. I don't see him personally. I can see from when I watch him when he's being recorded or asked questions, or when he's dodging it like layups, like a Super Bowl Sunday interview where he can talk about Taylor Swift and ice cream. He won't even do that. They're terrified to put him out there. He can't walk.
So, okay. So, because even though you and I disagree with Biden on most policy, the fact that he differs with you and I on policy, I don't think makes him unfit. So I'm assuming most of what makes you think he's unfit is you think maybe he's gotten too old and he's no longer up to the job.
He is too old. He is not up to the job. I have no idea what's going on behind the scenes. All I know is what I see when, they're filming him or asking him questions, or that press conference the other day where he could have just teed off on it, made a joke. And instead he got so angry that he couldn't remember the name of the parish where he got the rosary from, and he's mixing up foreign leaders. Maybe he's really talking to Francois Mitterrand. Maybe he doesn't know he's dead. I don't know.
Tom, and I need you to take a little bit of a leap with me, my friend.
Let's leap.
And again, you are in Wisconsin. You're in a swing state. If sometime over the course of the next couple of months, it became clear to you that Biden was in fact fit, and I mean, he's not, yes, he's older, but he's got it more together than everybody's leading on. Like, I don't know if you agree with me. I think Joe Biden, I think it's an issue. It's a big issue, his age, and is he up to the job? And I think only Biden can do something about that issue. Biden's got to get out in front of the American people and show the American people that he is still up to the job. If he did that, and you felt in your head and your heart somewhere halfway through this campaign that at least that obstacle was gone, he was up to the job, you still wouldn't and couldn't vote for him, correct?
Well, first of all, Joe, If is doing a lot of work there. He's on.
I need you to leap. I asked you to leap.
Okay. All right. Forget about that. I'm leaping. I don't get anything from a Joe Biden vote. If we want to play counterfactual and say it's up to you, it's a swing state. All the states are tied. It's Wisconsin, and it's 78,000 to 78,001, and it's on Utah. My answer to that is that's a counterfactual that's not in reality. If it was, then maybe I would do something real greedy, and I would call all the Democrats and Tom Steyer and say, for $500 million, I'll make the, you know what I'm saying? That's my leap on that.
Yeah. But no, Thomas, play that. I find that really interesting. Let's do that. Let's say that, because, and again, you know me, my logic here is fairly straightforward, and maybe it can be picked apart very easily. Donald Trump is unfit to be president, comma, therefore I'm obligated to vote for the only person on the ballot who can keep Trump from becoming president. Like, that's just an easy if A, then B to me. But that, you don't do that easy if A, then B, do you?
I took that leap with you, brother. I'm holding your hand, that I'm just not pulling the trigger for Joe Biden with the other one. It's a conscience thing for me.
Interesting. Stop there. I love the fact that you use that word. So I want, and by the way, Tom Owens, there's no right or wrong answer here.
No, I wish I had you both, if you and I had the answers, what a great place this would be.
No, I agree, but I'm gonna, for the sake of our conversation, I'm gonna ask both you and I to leap, and I'm coming back to this word in good conscience. You couldn't vote for Biden. You're telling me that if your vote, and I want you to play this counterfactual, if your one vote determined who the next president was, and if you voted for Trump, Trump is president. If you voted for third party, anybody else, Trump is president. If you voted for Biden, Biden is president. I'm not going to let you wiggle out of any other option. If that was what was ultimately placed in front of you as a true principled conservative, what would you do?
Well, I'm wiggling, Joe. That's a beautiful counterfactual that I'll answer like this. I voted and supported for you when you were our congressperson in this district here.
Yeah.
And I supported you in the primary before they threw you out of the primary. So I would
Right.
write you in, or Asa Hutchinson, or Ben Sass, or Mitch Daniels, somebody. And I know that I just weaseled out of your question, but that's the best I can do.
No. You've given me a good, honest answer, and I would appreciate that write-in vote for president. But you know that by doing it, by writing Joe Walsh in November, again, per our thought experiment here, you would be putting Trump back in the White House. You're okay with that in that. And no. And Tom, I'm not being judgmental here. You, even under that scenario, it would go against your conscience to vote for Biden.
Well, I see where we're at here. I wish I had a better abstract or snarky or weaselly response. If we want to play counterfactuals, maybe Tom Steyer gives me a call, the billionaire Green New Deal guy, and says, "Hey, you can keep Trump out of the White House, and I'll give you $500 million." You know what I mean? It's
right.
I don't know how to
But
answer.
no, I know. To me, this is just kind of fun to try to figure out why we think like we do. Do you agree with me that right now, not right now, either the Democratic nominee or the Republican nominee is going to be president? Nobody else is going to be elected president this year. You'd agree with me?
Yeah, I learned the hard way. I was a third party Gary Johnson supporter. I thought, well, here's the solution. We've got the two worst people, running in modern history in 16 with Hillary and Trump. And here's a guy, a two-term governor that, governed conservatively.
Yeah.
And he's not going to, all he wants to ride his bicycle and smoke some weed. And maybe he'll come on camera every 3 months. Leave us alone. I thought that was a no-brainer for the country. And boy, was I wrong.
Yeah, agreed. But right. And it's still the same way until we reach a day and we reform our political system and there's a viable third or a viable fourth party. The president of the United States elected this November is either going to be a Republican or a Democrat, one of those two nominees. And that's why, to me, it's just so straightforward. Trump is. Hey, Tom, do you agree with me that even though your concerns with Biden's age and is he up to the job, do you think Trump's more unfit than Biden?
I would say a Trump, let's call it a third Trump administration, that would be more dangerous because he's come out and told everyone what he wants to do. He wants to suspend the Constitution. He wants to be immune to everything. He's come out and said it. He's not even hiding it. And yeah, he's a moron and a psychopath, but all the people, the Jim Mattises and the Kellys that were in the first administration, they won't be around for a second one.
Right.
I'm making your case, Joe, right for you here. I'm making
No. But again, Thomas, you and I are walking to the altar together. You just can't say I do. I understand. You and I, you and I will always be walking to the same altar because we can never we can never support Trump. When you and I get to the altar, we say something different. But you do. I want to drill down on this because I think this is really important. Even with your concerns about Biden, you consider Trump more unfit and or a greater threat to our democracy. You believe that?
Yeah, he's a bigger danger, no doubt. Even if the Biden and Harris ticket won, and then something happened to Joe Biden, now you've got Harris. That's gonna. I mean, who? I don't know what's going to happen. I have a pretty vivid imagination, and I hope I'm wrong about all the things I think about. But I don't know. I just want to spin back to why do we have a country? I know the primary system screwed up. Why do we have a country with so many good people that this is their civic duty? This is what we get on both sides. You know what I mean? I know you know that they were lucky to have Joe Biden. Bernie Sanders almost became the candidate until the congressman, I think Clyburn, I'm struggling.
James Clyburn.
Kind of pushed Joe Biden to win. Otherwise, we would have had Bernie Sanders. So now I'm getting off topic. I'll make no friends with this, but I'm so dismayed at the good people in this country that don't do their civic duty. That sounds like an arrogant lecture, but I just can't fathom why we're in this position, why we're having this conversation, and why I'm on a podcast with you about it when, maybe we could be out bike riding or you could be out with your dogs. We're in bad shape, and it's because of the people and their votes. Sorry.
Preach, brother. I'm agreeing, Thomas, I'm agreeing with everything you're saying. And it's my hope and expectation that after this election, I think the country is just politically paralyzed right now. It's Trump, Biden, and this is going to be the only thing for the next 9 months. And no matter what happens in November, after November, the free market in the political world is going to just go hog wild. And I think we're going to see a lot of reform and other parties. I think stuff's coming down the pike. I agree with you. But we're frozen right now, and we are going to have a binary choice right now. Do you think if Joe Biden lost, do you worry about Joe Biden trying to overthrow the election?
No.
If Kamala Harris were the president and she lost, would you worry about her trying to overthrow the election?
Her personally, no, but some of the far out lefties. I mean, that's the thing I would worry about.
If any other Republican, if Nikki Haley were the Republican nominee and she lost, would she try to overthrow the election?
Nope.
So you and I agree this is something pretty unique to him.
Yep. Him and his supporters, okay? The people living down the street from me and the people behind the microphone at the local Bat Guano radio station and all the people on Fox and every conspiracy theorist on the internet.
So you're sitting there in the state of Wisconsin. Remember, I've made you a Wisconsin voter in a swing state. And so your vote's really important. If I were in Wisconsin, well, mine's easy because if no matter where I am, I'm voting for Biden. But because the threat to democracy to me is way more important than Joe Biden's, in my mind, wrong, ill-conceived student loan policy. Do you agree with that?
Yes. So if I'm in Wisconsin and the vote comes up to me, you got me, Joe. Tom Steyer doesn't need to give me $500 million. I'll settle for $15 million. And if I vote for Biden Harris ticket, that MAGA goes away and Fox goes 24-hour country music. How's that? Is that a good deal?
No, listen, I'm not going to let you do that. You can't. That's unrealistic. What's realistic is you're a Wisconsin voter, so your vote does matter. And this is what I'm trying to drill down on. And I'm not trying to pressure you to change. I don't want you to change. Excuse me. I do want you to change, but I want you to want to do whatever you want to do. Tom, drill down on this word. You said a few moments ago that, and I found this fascinating, and I mean that respectfully, that if your vote decided who the next president was, and if you voted for anybody besides Biden, Trump would get elected, you still could not in good conscience, your conscience, you couldn't vote for Biden. Tell me what's in your conscience, because I respect that and I want to know, like, what's going on in there that would make you do that?
It's a counterfactual. So,
No, but isn't it
I'm just one guy. I'm just one guy.
I know that. I
didn't do this. You didn't do this, and I didn't do this. They did it, okay? People blame Trump. With the rise of any sort of a dictator, god-awful person, Trump didn't do it at the barrel of a gun. He's won everything, or whatever he won or lost was legitimate and legal. So that's the people here. I didn't do this. This is my friends and neighbors and 81 other million people I don't know. They did this. I didn't do it, and I can't fix it.
Agreed. But it's your country, and it's your democracy, and you don't want that traitor back in the White House. So
it's the end of our democracy if he gets in. I'm sorry for interrupting. That's it. And again, I could be wrong, and I hope I am.
What'd you say? What did you just say, Tom?
But that's the end of our democracy as we know it. He's come right out and said he wants to be an authoritarian, and there's enough people that just don't care or that want him to be. The DC Drano guy that took the Handley or whatever, that took the poll through all his followers on Twitter, 97% said that Putin is more honest about what's going on in Ukraine than either Biden or Zelensky. He's got a lot of people. And these people, they've got jobs. They're lawyers, doctors, plumbers. I didn't do this. They did it.
Do you know that if I were with you right now, A, we'd be drinking. And B, I'd want to slap you upside the head.
Oh, you and everybody else. Half the people that are listening to this are going to want to do that.
You just said, you big jerk, that if Trump wins, if he's back in the White House, you said, and I quote Tom Owens, it's the end of our democracy.
Well, maybe. I think so, but I could be wrong.
Okay. No. That's your opinion. I get it. I think it's pretty damn close. I think our democracy's in a hell of a lot more trouble if he wins, but you said it's the end of our democracy. Then, my God, my friend, why couldn't you then do the one thing that could keep that from happening?
Okay. Well.
Like, I know you're a more reasonable man than I am. I know you are. But to me, it's so helpful sometimes to play these games.
Yeah.
If your vote decided the next president, what would you do? And I don't know, Tom, that I believe that if it came down to your vote, and you felt in your head and your heart, it's the end of democracy if he wins, but if I vote for Biden, Biden will win?
It's a beautiful counterfactual, Joe. I guess I'm kind of stuck. Like I said, I mentioned the Tom Steyer thing, or does Biden give me a presidential Medal of Honor that I don't deserve, like many of the other people that he gave to? I don't know. I want to save our democracy.
What if he just calls you? What if he calls you the day before Election Day and says, Tommy, you're in Wisconsin. I know you think I'm old. This thing's going to be super duper close. I know we disagree on policy. If I get a second term, I'm going to try to move my party more to the middle. I need your vote, man. We can't let that guy win. What would you say to Mr.
He calls
President?
me Tom. He might be talking to St. Thomas More.
So that is a big.
What's going on?
You said you don't think he's senile, but you think he's losing it. Yes,
I can't. There's no way. Sorry, he's out of it. Keeps proving it. I wish he would disprove it. He does.
Well, that's interesting. Then ultimately, Tom Owens, it could come down to that for you, in that you think at the end of this thing that they're both unfit for different reasons.
Yeah. Well, I think that we're counterfactualing and going in the abstract, but I think a good portion of the electorate is unfit. The old saying, the electorate gets what it deserves, good and hard, and we're getting it.
Well,
Forget
okay.
about Biden and Trump. I know I'm getting off topic, but forget about that.
No, no, no. That's actually related, Tom. And that's one of the first things you've said that kind of makes decent sense to me. And I mean, I don't mean that critically. Is there a part of you, Tom? Again, you're living in Wisconsin. It's a swing state, but you still can't vote for Biden. Is there a part of you, and I'm paraphrasing what you just said, you didn't create this fucking mess. If Trump's back in, it's what the American people deserve. Then we need to crash and burn before we right ourselves. They're going to have to deal with it. Is there like something there you're thinking?
No. Done my job. Read up, but it's always a binary choice. Vote for this one or that one, or write somebody in, or don't vote. Those are 4 options. Pull the dandelions, pay the tax, raise the kids. You try to talk to your friends. You're small. I'm a nobody. I'm a rando. You talk to your small groups. I have friends and acquaintances that respect. Hey, they ask you a question. What do you think about this? Oh, I didn't think about, whatever. But what? I didn't do this.
You keep saying that, and I find that, and I agree. You did not do this because, again, for the record, everybody listening to us, you were a principled Never-Trumper from the get-go, from before the get-go. You didn't do this, but yet, if Trump wins, the country, in your mind, is going to suffer.
Yep.
And do you think the country then? That's just something that's something the country's got coming. They're going to have to go through it and figure out their way around it. Because you're not going to stop it. You're not going to vote for Biden.
Seems like our fate.
Okay. So again, Tom, I'm not, and you're a religious man. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. This may be our fate is kind of what you're thinking.
Yeah. And this is an interesting because this discussion, someone that was living in Ohio, close to us, during the election in 2016, we were talking about it, saying, what would you do? Should I swing state? And nobody knew what was going to happen at the time. I thought Hillary was going to win. Should I vote for Hillary or should I vote for Trump? I said, well. With everything I've talked about, you vote your conscience. I would never tell you what to do. I might suggest it, but I did it. I didn't think I needed to.
Yeah.
So this is something that it's a great conversation. I really appreciate you, putting me on so that I can get it out of my system and talk about it and answer your questions because it's been going on for the better part of 10 years.
Yeah. I agree. And as a friend, I would never want you to go against your conscience. And if you're living in Wisconsin and your vote would determine who won Wisconsin, if your conscience would not allow you to vote for Joe Biden, I'd never want to push you on that. What I'm intrigued by is if you're in that booth and your vote's going to decide Wisconsin and your conscience tells you, I cannot vote for Biden for reasons A, B, C, D, E. But if I don't vote for Biden, Trump's going to win Wisconsin. That's really interesting to me, how you would balance your conscience with what's going to happen to the country.
Yeah, that's a great question. Again, sorry to repeat, counterfactual. But if I'm in that position, boy, I got a lot of power now, don't I? So
yeah, you do.
I got a lot of power in this counterfactual. So I think I would try to have the ability to get that power and exercise it in a responsible way.
But even with the counterfactual, my friend, in real time, you're in the voting booth on election day voting. So you don't have time to step out of the voting booth and go call Tom Steyer or some wealthy Democrat and try to cut a deal. And that's not going to happen anyways. You're in the freaking voting booth on election day voting in Wisconsin. So at that point, what I'm trying to get you to think about, and there's no right or wrong answer here. I find this interesting. You in good conscience can't vote for Biden, but you also know that not voting for Biden is going to put Trump in the White House. and I'm trying to figure out how in a matter of a minute you're going to weigh that. You're going to figure that out.
Yeah. I think we're at an impasse, Joe. I don't know how I could, how I
No,
could
we're
have
not
it.
changing each other's minds. All I wanted, Thomas, and I'm an open book, and there are a lot of other never Trumpers who feel like me. Um,
Totally, totally. I'm a Bulwark reader. I'm a Dispatch reader. So I get, the Bulwark tends to want to support Biden, with the admission that there's policies they don't like. They make, I think, is general, because there's a lot of everyone at that place is
yeah,
excellent. I've learned so much from them. Um, and then I think there's the Dispatch view, where and I can't speak for anybody. Those people are all public intellectuals. I read their
yeah.
stuff. I'm just saying, uh, that's kind
No,
of where I'm at.
no, and I think, Tom, I look as I look at this community you and I are a part of, never Trumper, we'll call it never Trumper principled conservatives / Republicans. I I don't know what you think. I'd say if it's Trump Biden, I bet 70% will vote for Biden, and maybe 30% would be in your camp. You just couldn't in good conscience, and you'd pull the trigger for somebody else. Do you think it'd be more 50-50, or do you think more never Trumpers would vote for Biden?
How many never Trumpers are there out there was the question, Joe. I don't think there's too many people that, they could articulate what a never Trumper is. There's probably people that have voted GOP their whole life that
Yeah.
absolutely hate Trump, that think he's disgusting, that think he's a moron, that think
Yeah.
he's unfit for office, but will wind up doing it anyway because of the binary choice. And you know what? The Super Bowl's on in 5 hours, and my grandkids are coming over, and I don't have time for this. That's what I think. I don't know. I mean, most normal
Yeah.
people would not be on your pod. You wouldn't ask a normal person to be on your podcast. People are just going about their working 10, 12 hours a day, taking their kids or their grandkids or their business, or worried about paying bills and family and extracurriculars, than to think about this stuff. And in most normal people, I think it makes them sick. So they're like, oh, I'm just going to check out. I can't make a difference. I'll not vote, or I'll vote for Republican candidate Trump. I don't know that he'll destroy the country. And there's probably plenty of people, the Fox watchers, the talk radio listeners, that think that they have to vote for Trump because Biden is the Marxist, what are they, John
Yeah.
Cash, Jacobin, Bolshevik,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Marxist, deep state.
Yeah.
Now, these people, they really believe that stuff.
No, that's why, again, I find you fascinating, because you are a regular person and you don't buy all that bull crap that Joe Biden's a communist and all that. He's obviously not where you are policy wise. You still couldn't vote for him. That's what to me makes you interesting. I think most never Trumpers will end up voting for Biden. I think, Tom, 4 to 5 to 6% of Republicans / former Republicans last election voted for Biden. That made a little difference. It could be a bigger number this year. But what's interesting is if Ron DeSantis had been the Republican nominee, I couldn't have voted for DeSantis, but
Oh, really?
most never Trumpers would have voted for DeSantis,
I would too.
and you
You know,
would
I
too.
he was a solid, he was a solid guy. He had all, a CV, wonderful, and he was,
Yeah.
a good governor. I think, he had to do those silly Trumpy commercials because that's the electorate. I'm insulting my fellow Americans, fellow conservatives. Sorry, I'm really sorry about that. Um, you know,
Yeah.
so Nikki Haley, she, again,
You'd vote for Nikki Haley if she were the
yeah,
nominee.
I mean, she'll be on the ballot here next month. I'm absolutely voting for her. I know they're trying to cancel primaries like they did on you.
Yeah.
That's not conservative.
That's not
That's
anything.
that's authoritarian cult, and that's who it is. Sorry for all my
Yeah.
MAGA friends out there. I hurt your feelings.
Um, Thomas, this has been fun. This has been interesting, and I appreciate it. I'm again, I'll never try to pressure you, but I'm going to
Oh, I
ask.
like it. I'm interrupting you. You keep pressuring me, Joe. I value what you have. Maybe because maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I need to sleep on things and, pray a little bit and be enlightened. And maybe tomorrow's a new day. Maybe I'll change my tune. That's how I look at everything every day.
If I were with you right now, I'd kiss you. I wouldn't slap you upside the head, because that's what I was going to ask you. I was going to ask you, you got 8, 9 months now. I'd like some discernment on this. And I would like you, over the course of these 9 months, to keep thinking about that counterfactual that you just did not like. And if you were in that ballot box, that booth on election day, and it came down to your vote, what the heck would you do?
Yeah, well,
I want that to continue to torture you, Tom Owens.
Oh, yeah, trust me, I am tortured. You got your wish, because I am tortured. But yeah, there's events. Who knows?
Exactly.
Maybe the best, I know you want to end it, but maybe the best thing could happen would be that something happens and we don't have to confront this.
Well, and the way things have been going lately, that's actually a great place to end, because you and I could have this discussion in 3 months. And you're right. The issue at hand will be completely different than Trump v. Biden. Tom Owens is his name. Again, follow him on Twitter, please, at Thomas Publius, ThomasPublius. Tom Publius is a decent, good man and a principled conservative. And he has been from the beginning, and he has been for as long as I've known him. Thomas, thank you.
Thank you very much, Joe, for letting me let it all out and
Absolutely.
talking to me.
Thank you for listening. Remember to listen, share, and follow White Flag with Joe Walsh on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and everywhere great podcasts are found. And be sure to leave a 5-star review. This has been White Flag with Joe Walsh.